What's happening, YouTube? I'm so excited that you're here because we're going to talk about something that I think is really cool. The fact that you're even watching this video tells me already that you have a high level of interest and probably are wired somewhat to be able to create your own business online doing websites, even though you don't have any experience. The greatest thing is that our access to information is so amazing these days and you can literally learn anything online, that anyone can start this type of business if they have the right drive for it. So I'm going to share like everything I wish that people would have pulled me aside and told me when I was getting started out, and hopefully it'll help you on your journeys. So my name is Paul Kluke. I got started in 2012. I was a medical sales rep, and as much as I enjoyed that industry, I really wanted to sort of like be the captain of my own ship. I wanted to be able to work from home. I wanted to have flexibility in my schedule, and I wanted to be able to, essentially sit in on my back patio and type away at a keyboard and earn a living. Now, as interesting as it has been a journey, I will say there's some really important aspects that you got to get clear on right now before you start. The first one is that you need to have a plan in place for your skills and your training. So we'll chalk that up under education, yeah? Number two, you're going to need to have a plan for developing your skills as a business entrepreneur and a business owner. And number three, you're going to need to have skills on how to market yourself as a web designer. So in this video, I want to give you tips to all of those aspects and just share with you what I've learned. Now, number one, education. So the wormhole goes really deep when it comes to learning how to do web design. As a matter of fact, I've been surprised just how specialized you can become in different areas that before I got into this business, I didn't even know existed. But the beauty of it is that literally you can start with a drag and drop builder. Nearly anyone can build a website these days because the technology is so good and it's out there. What I recommend if you're getting started is have a plan in place to increase your skill set every single day. I personally like to get up and my first hour to 2 hours of the day is dedicated to learning something new. And I would definitely recommend that you get a membership, or well, not really a membership, but you get a course on Udemy and you learn web development from a beginner's perspective, okay? The three important aspects of the beginner's course needs to be that it needs to give you an overview and understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now, I don't want you to be intimidated by those three things because when it comes to coding, people think, oh my God, it's so difficult. But in reality, once you understand that code is essentially like the human body, as a matter of fact, in HTML, which I always think of as the skeleton, it consists of a head section, a body section, and a footer. And so, there's some logic to it. And if you have a good understanding of just sort of yourself and, you're pretty quick, you'll pick it up really easily. Then CSS stands for cascading style sheets. Essentially puts the clothes on the body and all of the design, the flesh, and the what it looks like. And then finally, JavaScript is responsible for how people move. So that's really all you need to know. And with that in mind, you could go take a course on all three of those. Now it's usually progressive. You'll learn HTML first and then move into CSS. And matter of fact, I still study CSS. It's an incredible world of information. And then JavaScript, usually that's kind of the third component. But the person that buys a website from you doesn't know how you created it. In general, you could use a drag and drop builder something like a Weebly, a Wix, a Squarespace, a GoDaddy, any of these drag and drop builders that are available, and build a beautiful website and not know one lick of code. However, I will say it's going to depend on your market. If you live in an area where, let's say it's rural, is that how you say rural? Anyway, if it's not, in a big city, a lot of individuals may not have specialized in your area in web design. So you're at an advantage because you can create sites that are quick to create and so on. And the competition on the search engines isn't such that you have to have something really spectacular. As you move into more of the national campaigns, or maybe like, if you live in Los Angeles or New York or, a bigger city, then expect to encounter that you're going to need to know more. That's just been my experience. And even if you live in a big city, but maybe let's say you're from a rural area, I would definitely market in that area first because you can relate to people. And as you're getting started, start on the easy end. The worst thing for you is to get over your head in web design and then you quit because it's too difficult and you're frustrated. Frustration is part of the process, so be ready for it and be thankful for it because no one has ever become a great web designer without getting stuck. So you will get stuck, anticipate it, and be okay with it. Let's move on to number 2. Running your own business is going to take something, right? You have to understand that there's something in you that already tells you what your worth is. So if you have like this sense that, you feel like you shouldn't make money, and I'm only saying this because I really ran into this when I got started. Like, I was great at selling other people's services. And I did that for nearly 20 years. But when it came to selling me, and it came to selling like my design, my work, and my product, I just felt like a school kid. And I felt like I couldn't ask for people to pay me money for that. It's really interesting, but I ran smack up against that sort of this record that of value, like that when I was a kid and, I needed special reading courses and I thought, oh, wow, I got this special reading class because I'm so smart. And then come to find out I got the reading class because I couldn't read. So it's kind of interesting because I even won like the award for the year of like most improved in reading. And I was ashamed to walk up front and talk, and to take my award because it was like this admission of being dumb. So get clear as quickly as possible on how you feel about yourself because you're going to carry it right into your business. And then once you get that stuff worked out, or at least it's on the radar, then you got to work on it. Where I would go from there is make sure that you got some business sense. You gotta have bookkeeping in place. I hate keeping my own books. I pay people to do it. And I don't really want to learn QuickBooks. I don't want to learn how to run some other program. That's just not what I'm interested in. I would rather spend my time becoming a better web designer than doing that stuff. So outsource that as early as possible. If you've got a friend that can help you with your books, I recommend doing it. But you're going to need to have books, and here's why. You have to know where you are at all times in your business. When you're flying an airplane, you got to know where you are, and running a business is no different. You got to know, am I profitable? What's it going to take? What's my cost of doing business? What's my, what they call overhead? Where am I at? Because if you're not clear on those numbers, you're not going to be able to price your services right. And I will say, just with this huge asterisk, that when you're starting out, expect, like my first website that I did, I charged $100 for. Expect to start low. Build up a portfolio. People want to see that you've created a lot of projects. When they see that you've done a project that's more difficult than what theirs is to them, they will hire you. So just get out there and create as many projects as you can so you can build up the portfolio. So you have a reference point and you can say, customer, Tom Jones, please take a look at this. So make sure you're clear on where your business is and where you are in your business. So in other words, if I'm starting out and I'm learning, I'm a brand new beginner all over again, go easy on yourself. Like, give yourself a year, because this is, although you can build sites pretty quickly, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you're probably quite good from a technology perspective. So maybe for you, it takes you a month and you're building websites left and right. Build them. That way you have the portfolio. And then understand what I would implement as well as early as possible, some kind of time tracker. It's really good for you to get a sense of how long it takes you to build a website. When you first start out and somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want a 6-page website, a brochure website, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'll give you a home page, an about page, a services page, a fee schedule page, a contact us page, and a terms and privacy page. And you're like, okay, I'll create that. It's great to track the time that you need to create that. Now, over time, you'll get faster and faster. But in the beginning, you have to know what your constraints are, because when you take on one project is no problem, 2 projects, but when you have 10 projects going all at the same time, not only is it going to be difficult to price it out, but people will be waiting for their projects to be done. And in that, when it goes that direction, it can be daunting. And then when you feel that pressure and you're just trying to churn through, you lose your creativity. So now you're not designing a website, you're just throwing a site together to get it out the door. And that is going to hurt you and your clients. So make sure that you understand your own personal constraints and how much time you can work on a site at the very beginning. Finally, make sure you get some business cards. I definitely recommend as early as possible to set up a business entity. It's for real, so be for real about your business setup. Whether it's a limited liability, you can run it as a 1099 business where you're an independent contractor for your clients at the beginning and run it under your Social Security. That's all fine. As you progress, though, make sure that you practice good business sense and you create a legal entity. One of the things it does is it helps separate you from your business. In your business, remember, although it's your baby, it's not you. And your business is a separate living, breathing organism, so to speak. And that organism it's going to have to survive on its own. So be careful. I made the mistake of pumping tons and tons and tons of money into my business at the beginning. And I think I should have just started a lot smaller rather than taking on a lot of the risks that I did. So I recommend, starting, do a few projects, get your feet wet, understand how long it takes you to do it, make sure you're keeping good notes on your expenses and all the finances, and then get out there and hand out your business card. I find belly to belly is one of the best ways to get new website business. You bump into somebody at the grocery store, I fix websites, or I can build websites or whatever. Get a shirt, get a t-shirt, put it on there. I fix websites, I build websites, whatever you want. That way it creates the conversation, and then people, when it comes time to do something, they'll remember you and contact you. I hope this has been super helpful, and I wish you all the best as you get started on your new journey. It's a lot of fun, and I can tell you that I don't think you'll regret it. You will learn so much from starting your own website business.